The theories began before the airport officially opened in 1995.
When the airport was supposed to open, it was a little delayed and a little over budget, so people just started to come up with reasons why that might be. So people started to think, is the airport haunted?
For years, Denver International Airport DIA has been the subject of wild rumors and intense speculation, drawing the attention of conspiracy theorists, urban explorers, and curious minds around the world. Known for its peculiar art installations, expansive underground tunnels, and massive footprint that dwarfs many international airports, DIA has always walked a strange line between functionality and mystery. But when U.S. authorities suddenly ordered a full shutdown of the airport following a terrifying discovery deep beneath the surface, the theories didn't just resurface, they exploded. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. The initial signs were subtle. A routine maintenance crew tasked with inspecting sub-level corridors, part of a rarely accessed sector of the airport's sprawling underground infrastructure, stumbled upon something they couldn't explain. Almost immediately, radio communications with the team cut off. Within hours, a full-scale federal response was mobilized. Black SUVs converged. Runway operations were halted. Flights were rerouted without warning. What initially appeared to be an overreaction by aviation authorities quickly turned into a chilling confirmation that something had been found. Something officials had either never expected or had desperately tried to keep buried. The tunnels beneath Denver Airport have always been a subject of intrigue. Originally built for an automated baggage system that failed spectacularly, these spaces quickly gained a different kind of reputation. Unused and largely inaccessible, they stretch for miles, forming a vast subterranean labyrinth beneath the runways and terminals. Over the years, whispers about these tunnels hinted at everything from secret government bunkers to occult sites and even alien technology storage. Most dismissed the claims as fantasy. With the sudden and absolute closure of one of the busiest airports in the United States, followed by an unprecedented silence from officials, it appeared as a typical security scare. Sources close to the operation, anonymous due to the sensitive nature of the discovery, revealed that the team had unearthed what appeared to be a massive, artificially constructed chamber, sealed behind reinforced concrete that did not match any known architectural records of the airport. This chamber, hidden behind a false wall deep within Tunnel 17B, bore no signs of modern construction. The walls were lined with metallic etchings that glowed faintly under the workers' flashlights, as if the material itself reacted to human presence. Instruments taken down to investigate reported electromagnetic anomalies, intense pressure fluctuations, and, most disturbingly, auditory hallucinations reported by multiple personnel. Within minutes of discovery, symptoms began to manifest among the team. Some reported nausea and disorientation, while others described visions, not dreams, but shared experiences that seemed to echo across the group. One technician, according to leaked testimony, began speaking in a language no one could identify. When the radio link severed and two members of the crew failed to return, the area was cordoned off completely. Whatever lay beyond that false wall had not just been hidden, it had been sealed. And the sudden disruption of that seal may have triggered consequences no one could have anticipated. Emergency response teams sent in shortly after were equipped not just with environmental hazard gear, but with monitoring systems normally used in deep black military operations. Their descent into the chamber marked a shift in tone. This was no longer a maintenance issue or even a structural threat. This was a containment scenario. The reports from these follow-up teams are sealed, but some fragments have made their way into public awareness through leaks. It's said that the chamber extended downward, far deeper than DIA's official blueprints would allow, and that the architecture became increasingly alien the deeper they went. Walls became smooth, seamless, and curved in impossible geometries. There were no signs of tool marks, no evidence of construction, just a space that seemed to exist, indifferent to time and reason. The chamber also pulsed. That's the word used by nearly every witness. Pulsed, like a living thing. A low, rhythmic vibration resonated throughout the structure, disturbing electronic equipment and causing physiological effects in those exposed. Some reported vertigo and migraines. Others experienced fleeting emotions that seemed not their own, sorrow, dread, or an overwhelming sense of awe. One by one, teams were pulled back and an even more advanced unit, possibly from a classified defense branch, was inserted, suggesting the involvement of national security at the highest levels. Speculation immediately turned toward ancient structures, long-buried artifacts of pre-human origin, or perhaps technology so advanced it bordered on the divine. The comparison to discoveries like the Antikythera mechanism or the Baghdad battery were quickly dismissed. This was not a remnant of forgotten human civilization. Whatever lay beneath Denver Airport had no place in recorded history or science. It was not just old, it was other. Satellite data during the shutdown registered unexplained temperature drops directly above the affected area. Animals in the vicinity behaved erratically. Birds veered off course and service dogs in the terminal refused to approach certain areas. Meanwhile, surveillance footage was scrubbed. Cell service in the airport failed completely for a 48-hour period. No mainstream news outlet could get a credible source to speak on record, and independent journalists were either removed from the area or blocked entirely. For all intents and purposes, Denver International Airport ceased to exist in the public eye for nearly 3 days. During that time, freight trucks arrived under cover of darkness. Some say they carried scientific equipment. Others claim they removed artifacts or entities from the chamber. What can be confirmed is that none of the airport's public-facing officials were in control. Even the TSA agents were replaced by personnel in unmarked uniforms. Entire floors of the airport were closed off for renovation, but there was no renovation equipment. No scaffolding, no tools, just silence, secrecy, and the ever-tightening security perimeter. This level of response points to a discovery so significant, so dangerous, that the entire U.S. infrastructure for threat containment was triggered in an instant. It's not hard to understand why. The implications are staggering. If a non-human structure was indeed found beneath the airport, one that predates our civilization, or perhaps even our species, it forces a complete reevaluation of history, archaeology, and science. Not just about what was found, but about why it was buried. Who built it? Why was it sealed so deliberately? And why is it resonating now? Theories abound. Some believe it's an ancient failsafe, triggered by shifts in electromagnetic fields or rising global conflict. Others think it's a prison, a containment structure not to hide knowledge, but to prevent escape. A few whisper about the artifact being a beacon, sending signals now that its seal has been broken. More disturbing still are those who suggest the government didn't find it by accident, that they've always known, and only now, due to unknown pressures, have they chosen to interact with it. The location itself may not be random. Denver's high elevation, distance from tectonic fault lines, and centralized position in the U.S. make it a prime location for strategic bunkers. But if this chamber predated the airport, and perhaps even the city, then those features may be why it was built here in the first place. Maybe what lies below dictated what was built above. The art and symbols scattered throughout DIA, long mocked as esoteric nonsense, now seem chilling in hindsight. Murals of apocalypse, cryptic references to the New World Order, and a demonic horse statue named Blucifer may no longer be coincidences, but warnings hidden in plain sight. What is most terrifying about the Denver discovery isn't just what was found, it's what remains unknown. The chamber was sealed for a reason. Whatever entity or intelligence is associated with it, whether passive or active, represents a complete unknown in terms of intention. If the structure is waking up, responding to human presence, or transmitting signals beyond our planet, then we are not simply dealing with an archaeological find, we are engaging with something that could alter the trajectory of our civilization, and yet, not a single official has stepped forward to explain the shutdown. No press conference, no statements, only redirection and silence. It's as though the government has chosen to pretend the event never happened, or worse, that it's ongoing and too dangerous to acknowledge. Travelers stranded during the shutdown were refunded without explanation, employees were reassigned, and Denver International Airport reopened days later with no sign that anything had ever occurred. But those who were there, those who saw the black vans, the sealed corridors, the silence that swallowed up one of the busiest travel hubs in America, they know. Something was found beneath Denver, and it's still there. If the chamber was indeed resealed, then the question becomes, how temporary is that seal? The psychological and physical effects on the initial discovery team suggest that whatever lies within the structure is not inert. It reacts. It observes. Some of the recovered personnel were reportedly transferred to secure medical facilities, exhibiting symptoms resembling both extreme trauma and radical neurological rewiring. The implications of that alone could change everything we understand about the human mind and its interaction with non-human systems. And then there's the question of technology. If artifacts were recovered, if any machinery or anomalous devices were found within the structure, then the race is now on to understand them. History shows that reverse engineering unknown tech, if that's what's happening, can lead to breakthroughs or catastrophes depending on the understanding of those conducting the research. With zero public oversight and no accountability, whatever progress or peril this discovery brings will be decided behind closed doors. The underground chamber at Denver Airport may represent the most significant and chilling discovery of the modern era, not because of what is known, but because of how little we are allowed to know. The shutdown wasn't about safety, it was about secrecy, and the implications rippling quietly beneath the surface of public awareness hint at a world where our deepest fears of ancient powers, buried truths, and contact with the incomprehensible are no longer fiction, they're reality. And that reality is waiting, silent and alive, beneath the runways of Denver. Since the moment Denver International Airport resumed operations, a peculiar tension has lingered, as though the very land it sits upon remembers what happened. Though outwardly returned to normal, the airport's atmosphere now feels heavier, charged with a quiet intensity. Frequent travelers and employees have noted subtle changes, unfamiliar personnel patrolling certain areas, corridors once accessible now permanently locked behind high-security doors, and an unmistakable sense that surveillance has tightened to an obsessive degree. The change isn't cosmetic, it is behavioral, institutional. Like the facility itself is bracing for something to return. There are whispers among insiders that deeper levels beneath the airport, levels absent from any schematic, have been reactivated. Not just lit and explored, but powered in a way that suggests preparation, as if something down there is no longer dormant. Engineers flown in from out of state, operating under false corporate names, have been observed working for days at a time in restricted sectors, never emerging into public view. An air of urgency clings to these movements, as though they are in a race against something approaching or awakening. Geological monitoring equipment in the surrounding region has begun to register minor tremors. Nothing major, just enough to notice, enough to wonder. They don't match the patterns of tectonic activity. They're too rhythmic, too precise. Some researchers have speculated that these pulses may correspond to movements within the newly discovered subterranean structure. If accurate, that would mean the formation is not only active, but moving, or worse, expanding. It's not just a local phenomenon. Since the event, several other airports around the world have quietly tightened their security protocols. A few have even undergone unannounced inspections of their own underground infrastructure. It's as if whatever was uncovered in Denver has triggered a chain reaction of precaution, as though the existence of one anomaly suggests the possibility of more, perhaps a global network of unknown structures connected beneath our feet. The alignment of airports, military bases, and ancient sites is being re-examined, not as coincidence, but as potential evidence of a much older design woven into the very geography of the Earth. Astrophysicists have reportedly been brought in under classified contracts. Their role is unclear, but rumors suggest that strange signals, previously dismissed as background noise or pulsars, have begun to show modulation patterns too deliberate to ignore. Some are hypothesizing that the chamber beneath Denver is part of a larger system, potentially a relay node of unknown origin. If that's true, then the terrifying possibility arises that its purpose may not be local. It could be communicating, or worse, responding to something far beyond our planet. The involvement of intelligence agencies has only deepened the mystery. While official statements remain non-existent, there have been abrupt personnel shifts in certain government offices, particularly those dealing with aerospace defense and unconventional research. Programs that had previously been defunded or classified under fringe departments have been reactivated. Budgetary pressures, often the first sign concepts far beyond their training. Others sketch symbols for hours, symbols that share eerie similarities with those found etched into the chamber walls. Some speak of dreams that aren't theirs, memories they claim are inherited. These individuals are being kept in isolation under the pretense of recovery, but unofficially they are subjects of intense study. A thread that continues to emerge is the idea of frequency, not just sound, but vibration and resonance. Researchers involved in acoustics and harmonic science have allegedly been recruited to explore the chamber's structure and the nature of its pulsing energy. It appears the walls themselves are tuned, built to resonate at specific frequencies. This points to a technology or knowledge of physics that allows manipulation of energy on a level modern science barely comprehends. If the chamber was sealed with frequency, then opening it may have broken more than just a wall. It may have unbound a signal or a force that has now begun to ripple outward. Satellite imaging of the region has also been quietly restricted. Public access to high-resolution photographs of the airport's immediate surroundings has been limited under the pretense of security upgrades. Civilian drones flying too close have been intercepted. No-fly zones have expanded, but in ways that don't follow any typical threat pattern. It's as though the danger isn't coming from above, but from below. Beneath the runways, the concrete, and the innocent facade of the terminal lies a zone of absolute secrecy. And those few who have peered into that abyss report seeing not just darkness, but structure, an intelligence, or an echo of one, buried in form and geometry. Local indigenous groups have added an eerie dimension to the growing lore. Oral histories from tribes in the region speak of a stone gate that sings, buried in the hills long before the arrival of settlers. It was said to be a sacred place, not to be disturbed. Offerings were made at specific seasons, and strange lights were seen in the sky above it. While modern anthropologists have long filed these stories under spiritual allegory, the similarities to the chamber's properties, sound, resonance, hidden architecture, cannot be. The gate, if real, might have been an early encounter with the same force now reawakened beneath the airport. It's not just scientists and spooks circling the discovery. Certain powerful private entities, think tanks, aerospace companies, and arcane philanthropic foundations have begun expressing interest in Denver's airspace and real estate. It appears the discovery has economic and strategic value that goes beyond mere curiosity. Control over such a site, if harnessed properly, could mean energy breakthroughs, material science revolutions, or even gravitational manipulation. But with that pursuit comes danger. For every discovery that benefits humanity, there are those that destabilize it entirely. The mythology around the airport has ironically made this easier to dismiss. For decades, people laughed at murals and tunnels and lizard people jokes and Lucifer's glowing red eyes. But the moment something real was found, that same mythos became the perfect camouflage. Any claims made now are drowned in the noise of mockery and disbelief. That's the genius of long-standing conspiracy narratives. They protect the truth by poisoning its environment. Even those with evidence now find it difficult to be taken seriously. As more time passes, the original event is rapidly fading from public memory. It's being overwritten by routine, the steady thrum of flights, baggage claims, and fast food outlets. But the truth remains underfoot. Travelers walk unknowingly over the hidden door, unaware that just meters beneath them, a sealed intelligence waits. And while the government may believe it has contained it, the signs say otherwise. Electronics still flicker. Surveillance cameras fail without explanation. Workers report a low hum in the walls, a constant inaudible vibration that never stops. In a forgotten sublevel, one still under guard, a door has been constructed, not just locked, but reinforced with materials whose properties suggest they were designed to withstand energy far beyond normal physics. The door is said to be covered in sensors, always monitored, always humming with feedback. Some say it's not to keep people out, but to keep something in. The frightening realization is that no one, not even those running the operation, fully understands what they're dealing with. And perhaps the greatest danger isn't what was found in the chamber, but what it leads to. Preliminary scans revealed hollow extensions branching outward into bedrock. Tunnels not built by human hands, curving away from the chamber like the roots of an ancient tree. Where they go, no one can say. But their direction is not random. They follow magnetic lines, lay points, perhaps even planetary alignments. There's a growing belief that the chamber is only the beginning, an access point to a network that spans continents, possibly even deeper into the Earth's crust than any existing drill or probe has ever dared to reach. If that's the case, Denver is the mouth of something ancient, a vent of forgotten power, or a lock on a cage long buried. One must ask, did the airport's design, its shape, its art, all those strange details dismissed as quirks, serve a deeper purpose? Were they keys, signals, or even suppressive tools meant to contain what lies below? The implications don't just touch science, but philosophy and faith. If intelligent structures older than humanity exist beneath us, then the timeline of our species must be reevaluated. The stories of Genesis, the rise of civilization, the history of gods and monsters, perhaps all were born not of imagination, but of ancestral memory. Echoes of encounters now resurfacing. Denver International Airport may be the threshold between worlds and the chamber, a voice finally rising from the silence of millennia. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on Denver Airport's shutdown? What do you think they found? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.